Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Monday, August 9th, 2021, and today we're going to be talking about Governor Andrew Cuomo from the state of New York, someone who used to be largely viewed as a champion of the pandemic, a champion of states' issues when it comes down to the issue of COVID-19 and lockdowns and making sure that people were safe during a very, very unfortunate health crisis, has now been put in a position where the American public and the state of New York has entirely turned on him for actions none other than his own. And Andrew Cuomo in this position is in a very vulnerable one, puts Democrats in a very unfortunate position because he sexually harassed multiple women as reported by the New York State Attorney General. This comes as a major revelation after multiple accusers came out and said that Andrew Cuomo had harassed them. And then it started to take a turn into a full-blown investigation. The Attorney General came out and said just a few days ago that Andrew Cuomo did it. So Andrew Cuomo has been in the mainstream media for the past 2 years quite often, largely due to COVID-19, and now because of these sexual harassment allegations that have now been proven to be true by the New York Attorney General, or at least concluded to be true. Well, you can actually read the full-on report here. I will put the link in the description down below so you can read it yourself. It's a very lengthy report, but it can all be summarized by their executive summary, saying that we, the investigators appointed to conduct an investigation into allegations of sexual harassment by Governor Andrew Cuomo, conclude that the governor engaged in conduct constituting sexual harassment under federal and New York state law. You guys can read. I'm not going to read the rest to you, but point being that Andrew Cuomo did it, according to this New York Attorney General report. And now comes in so many critics of both sides, primarily those criticizing Andrew Cuomo, calling on him to resign, going so far as Nancy Pelosi, Kirsten Gillibrand, Joe Biden, coming out and saying that he needs to resign. This circumstance that we are in right now puts the Democratic Party, not just Andrew Cuomo, but the Democratic Party in a very, very unfortunate position, all because of actions none other than Andrew Cuomo's own. He did this as reported by the New York Attorney General. This is something that is going to really blow back on Democrats over the next year and a half. This will be a major talking point by members of the Republican Party, and rightfully so, because the actions that Andrew Cuomo took upon these women are absolutely so unfortunate, disgusting to even think about, that a man with such political power who was widely adored, and as I mentioned in my most previous video, someone who was viewed as a champion of women's rights, someone who was viewed as an advocate for women in the workplace, now being exposed as just another, in a sense, predatory man coming towards women. So what happened here? Well, with the New York Attorney General's statement, Joe Biden comes out on live television and says Andrew Cuomo needs to resign, saying, quote, "I think he needs to resign." This is the first major call from a top individual to call on Andrew Cuomo to resign from the White House. Nancy Pelosi also followed up and said that Andrew Cuomo needs to be out. He needs to leave his office. Andrew Cuomo has no more people to call on for favors. He doesn't have any more advocates in Washington, D.C., in the United States, delegation in the state of New York, the state legislature, the state Senate. He doesn't really have many allies to turn to when it comes down to this. And the question of impeachment is coming up right around the corner in a seemingly similar fashion to the way that it was brought up against Donald Trump. Now, I've seen people sort of indicate that this resignation call is some type of double standard when it comes down to Andrew Cuomo as the governor, and then other politicians, specifically Republicans, as some of these arguments are being made, that they did not have to resign for sexual harassment allegations. No matter what, if you are proven to have done these sexual harassment allegations, if you are called on by the state attorney general as someone who has taken part in predatory and harassment type of behavior towards women, towards men, whatever it might be, you should not be in that office. That's something that I think that many Americans typically can agree on. And while maybe there is some type of double standard from members of either political party where they don't say much for one person, but they say a lot for the other, regardless, these women deserve some type of justice. They certainly deserve to have their abuser, their harasser, to not be in such a powerful position, regardless of political party. I understand that in American politics, double standards do occur, but that's not a reason why to openly ignore what the New York State Attorney General is saying, what these multiple women are saying, what Joe Biden is saying, what Nancy Pelosi is saying, what the Republicans are saying. Joe Biden and every single member of the Republican delegation in the state of New York agree on one thing, and that is that Andrew Cuomo should resign. So much is happening. Members of the Republican Party are calling this a slow walk, saying that the Democratic Party is waiting on ousting Andrew Cuomo. This is Elise Stefanik, the member from, I believe, the 21st District, if I'm not mistaken. Might be from a different district, though. I don't believe it is the 21st District now that I'm thinking about it. But regardless, she's the House Republican Conference Chair. She actually replaced Liz Cheney earlier this year. She is saying that the Democratic Party cannot slow walk the governor's ouster after damning Attorney General report. And she's right. You cannot try to draw this on and on and on in the hope that the public opinion changes on it, because at the end of the day, the Democratic Party has primarily been the party that has attacked the right wing on numerous allegations towards Donald Trump and other members of the Trump White House at the time, yet doesn't seem to be super quick on this issue of impeachment. But now the state legislature and the state Senate are starting to get the gears working up. You can see here that CNN is doing a live update because we are actually hearing today that there will be a timeline for the Cuomo investigation. There will be a timeline for more and more to come out. That way the state assembly can end up voting on this impeachment as quickly as possible, because right now the state of New York really is waiting on it. Quinnipiac University just did a poll back August 6th, 2021. Today is August 9th, so 3 days ago. They find that 7 out of 10 New York State voters believe that Cuomo should resign. That exact number, 70%. Just 25% of voters say that he shouldn't resign as governor. 57% of Democrats believe that he should resign, 88% of Republicans believe so, and 76% of independents. If he's not done by resignation, he's certainly not winning that primary, and even if some type of workaround in the election that he is to win that primary, he's certainly not winning that general election with these types of numbers. And as these numbers were, as these first allegations were revealed back in March of 2021, Quinnipiac University did a poll, March 18th. They found that 49% of voters said that he shouldn't resign. Just 43% of voters said he should resign. In a state such as New York, that's monumental. That is a major change in support for Andrew Cuomo, someone who was almost ensured a third term in this state. But now that we've seen the state attorney general come out and say just a few months later that Cuomo did it, the entire public opinion changed. Because Cuomo back in March said, wait on the state attorney general. That's what Cuomo had said. He said that we need to wait on what the state attorney general says. Don't reach any conclusion before you hear from her. And then it was released. And now the public listened to what Cuomo said. They changed their opinion based off of what the evidence was provided to them. And now Andrew Cuomo, whether he likes it or not, has fallen out of favor from the media, has fallen out of favor from the public, and fallen out of favor from his own allies, his closest colleagues in the state assembly. Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, you name it, he doesn't have it anymore because of these sexual harassment allegations that have now been proven to be true by the state attorney general. And if you're wondering why I took a little bit too long to actually talk about this, because this did occur 4 days ago, I wanted to bring everything together for some type of conclusive video before we start getting into the impeachment nitty-gritty parts of the allegations and the investigation over the next couple of months. Because Andrew Cuomo probably won't be out of office unless he chooses to resign within the immediate future for a couple of months, just because of how long things like this start to take. They might expedite it. I'm not entirely sure. We haven't released the final timeline yet, but looking at it from an outsider point of view, someone who's not in the state of New York, I did not want to be wrong about a single point of interest in terms of this case, in terms of what is going on with Andrew Cuomo. I didn't think that would be fair to those who were, survivors of sexual harassment. I didn't think that it would be fair to those who were heavily involved in this case. I don't think it would be fair for me to speak on this with, something that would be, as in a sense, in that view, I wouldn't be spending as much time researching it as I would some type of election rating or some type of election poll. Stuff like that I can get in and out after a day, just after looking into it and looking more into the electoral history. That's not the case. This is something that I needed time to ponder about and figure out what the discussion was going to be primarily about, and talk about all of these things, because right now, actually, there's a lot more information in terms of impeachment, a lot more likely of a chance that Andrew Cuomo is impeached today than he was 4 days ago. So we will talk about that, and I'm glad that I've had more time to actually research this and get more information about what the steps are moving forward for Andrew Cuomo, and accurately inform you guys about such an unfortunate case, such an unfortunate reality for someone who is in such a powerful position, doing such unfortunate acts. I use that word a lot because that's the real way to describe it. This entire case is unfortunate, and I'm very sure that many of you guys agree that the state of New York clearly agrees, that America agrees, and that Democrats and Republicans come together on this issue, that Andrew Cuomo should resign from this position. And, he should follow probably in favor of Al Franken, who back in 2017 resigned from the Senate amid sexual harassment allegations. Now, this was something that some Democrats thought was iffy, that maybe Al Franken didn't need to resign. Whatever, he did resign. We should move on from this point. There's no point in relitigating whether or not he should have resigned. He's not going to run for the state Senate. So he's not going to run for Senate in the state of Minnesota. He's not going to be in the Senate. There is no point in bringing it back up because this was his decision. He decided to resign after the Democratic Party actively called on Roy Moore to either drop out of the race or be replaced by the statewide GOP during the Alabama special election. Neither of which occurred, but Democrats could not actively call on Roy Moore to not be elected to the United States Senate for harassment allegations when they were having a senator who was in the United States Senate amidst sexual harassment allegations. And this is what needs to happen with Andrew Cuomo. There should be an article this week or next week detailing a letter from Andrew Cuomo's office saying that he is resigning. I understand that it is a partisan thing to say that Andrew Cuomo should resign in this position, but it is something that should be universally agreed upon. You shouldn't have people that are, as concluded by the state attorney general, sexual harassers in the case of this instance should not be governors. They should not be senators. They should not be presidents of the United States. And I understand there is that argument of a double standard, but that doesn't mean you don't uphold your end of the bargain when it comes down to questions such as this, when it comes down to cases such as this, because you are putting the women in such unfortunate positions where they have to look at this and say, while there may be some type of double standard, do I not deserve justice in this case? Do I not deserve some type of closure? Do I not deserve to see my harasser not in one of the most powerful positions in one of the most populous states across the United States? I mean, think about how this looks from their point of view. Cuomo should absolutely resign. I don't think that should be an argument at this point. And now it can actually happen. Because what we're seeing here is that the majority of the New York Assembly says that they would oust Andrew Cuomo. If you're wondering how this is going to go, it works in a very similar fashion to the House of Representatives and the United States Senate in Washington, D.C. Let's get started. So the impeachment inquiry, the impeachment trial would need to begin by a simple majority. That would just mean 76 out of the 150 members of the state assembly. 76. Now, with that assembly vote, they can vote to impeach Andrew Cuomo. 86 out of the 150 say that they publicly endorse impeachment of Andrew Cuomo. That's not even counting those who are waiting to keep their votes or hoping that there might be some type of silent vote, whatever it might be. Over a majority of the New York Assembly would oust Cuomo if he chooses not to resign. And the Republican minority leader in the state assembly is already calling on the Democrats to call a special session to oust Andrew Cuomo. 86 of those 150 are all of the Republicans and 46 Democrats. Let's move forward. Now, if there is to be some type of impeachment against Andrew Cuomo there, you would move on to the state Senate. Now, the state Senate is much smaller. They currently have 62 people in the state Senate, but you would have to add in 7 Court of Appeals judges. So that actually puts the total number at 69. You would need a 2/3 or 46 out of the 69 to vote to impeach or remove Andrew Cuomo from office. So it's a very similar fashion to the the way that President Trump was impeached. You would go to the House and then a simple majority can impeach them. And then it goes to the Senate where you need 2/3 to actually remove them. So here's what's happening right now. 40 Democrats have said that they would move forward with impeachment in the state assembly. Okay, 43 Republicans are saying as well. That's where you get that number in the state assembly. Moving on to the to the New York State Senate. I'm used to saying United States Senate. I apologize for that. That's when you would actually have 69 jurors, in a sense, 62 senators, and the 7 Court of Appeal judges, and then 46 voting yes. And right now, we're at 58. It says here that the majority leader, the Democrat there, saying that 38 of our majority members who have already called on the governor to resign, that's not counting the Republicans, put them at 58 out of 63 senators. So that actually is high enough to say that these people are already out. He says it's an overwhelming sentiment in the Senate, but we have to wait. The assembly has to go through their process and issue articles of impeachment. So any type of way that you go, whether resignation, whether a primary in 2022, or impeachment, Andrew Cuomo is done. He's done. And the American public, the New York public, don't like him anymore. The Wall Street Journal found that even recently, back in May and June of 2021 that half of New York voters still stand behind him. 49% of voters in the Siena College Research Institute poll said that he should not resign, a decrease of 51% in April. So as time went on, as the pandemic seemingly got better, the voter sentiment changed on Andrew Cuomo, all to be brought back up again by this very, very unfortunate report from the New York Attorney General, now showing that Andrew Cuomo absolutely sexually harassed these women. And now 70% of the state says that he needs to resign. All in all, Joe Biden is calling on him to do it. The state assembly is calling on him to do it. All of these Democrats around the state are calling on Andrew Cuomo to resign. And it does raise the question, is there a double standard for even Democrats from members of the Republican Party? If Democrats aren't to get Andrew Cuomo out by means of resignation through political pressure, because right now he's still pushing away from it, even with Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats trying to actively call on him to resign from his position, all in all, it is on him to push that resignation out to the press and actually remove himself from office, but the state assembly can absolutely do it. But Elise Stefanik is right. Democrats cannot slow walk this after such an unfortunate report. This is something that cannot be just, fiddled around into a point where maybe certain senators and assemblymen can start retracting their statements of support for impeachment to a point where the American public and the New York public won't care anymore. This is an issue that needs to be dealt with now. And Elise Stefanik, the Democrats across everywhere, are absolutely right about this case. Andrew Cuomo either needs to be resigned or he needs to be impeached. And if you're looking at the response to it, I didn't even want to address it because I felt as if this was something that was very, very, and I'm going to say the word again, I apologize for that, but it is really unfortunate to see that the governor responded to the Attorney General report with numerous pictures. You're talking about 80 plus pages of pictures of Andrew Cuomo touching women and men in a similar fashion to the way that was described by the New York Attorney General. You can start to see here that it is, in a sense, victim blaming. It is, in a sense, gaslighting the women into saying that he does this to everyone, that they weren't special, that this was not type of sexual harassment in any case. All in all, the response to it was really lackluster. And instead of taking acknowledgement and taking, recognizing what he had done, he instead turned it on the women and started attacking, in a sense, their, trustworthiness, whether or not they were being honest about this case. All in all, it was just a very unfortunate response, and I really did not want to cover it too heavily because it doesn't deserve a lot of attention. All in all, I just do want to say that he did respond to it, but he certainly did not admit to anything. So we will see what happens. The impeachment seems to be going underway relatively quickly. We will find out today when the final timeline is actually released. I will put the link to this executive summary and the entire New York State Attorney General report on Andrew Cuomo in the description down below so you can read it yourself, draw your own conclusions. But at the end of the day, looking at it from an unbiased point of view, Andrew Cuomo absolutely needs to resign. This is such a poor case, poor showing for both parties. I think that this is something that no person in a major position of power should ever do or go be, in such a powerful position doing actions such as this. We will see what happens, though. It all comes down to the New York State Assembly, comes down to the New York State Senate, and we will see how quickly or not so quickly they get through with this, or whether or not Andrew Cuomo decides to actually end up resigning over the next couple of weeks. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2022 election analysis videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.